The world above Neverland was gone. The world above Neverland was gone. Where millions of stars once shimmered, there was now only a deep, violet ocean of emptiness. Down on the ground, Wendy, John, Michael, Tinker Bell, and all the Lost Boys stood by the shore, their faces turned upward, staring at the starless, silent sky. Peter Pan was gone, stolen away by Captain Hook's enchanted ship, which had vanished into the heavens. Wendy's hands clenched into tight fists at her sides. Her voice was a fierce whisper against the sound of the waves. "He's up there. We have to go after him." John, ever the practical one, frowned, his brow furrowed with worry. "Into space, Wendy? Without wings? That's impossible." But little Michael tugged on his older brother's sleeve, his own eyes wide and determined. "Peter wouldn't wait if it were us," he said simply. The truth in those words silenced John completely. Just then, Tinker Bell's light, which had been dim and flickering with sorrow, pulsed with a sudden idea. "There's one way," she chimed, her bell-like voice tinged with hope. "The Starstream," Wendy turned to her. "The what?" Tinker Bell fluttered closer, her glow illuminating their faces. "It's the wind that carries dreams to the stars," she explained. "It still flows high above the mirror peaks. If we can reach it, we can fly again." A spark of resolve ignited in Wendy's eyes. She nodded, her decision made. "Then that's where we go." The Lost Boys worked tirelessly through the night. Under the strange, starless twilight, they gathered everything they could find: strong wood from the whispering woods, sturdy vines from the deepest parts of the jungle, and shimmering, glowing crystals that pulsed with a faint inner light. With Tinker Bell zipping back and forth, offering guidance and a sprinkle of magic, they began to build something that had never existed in Neverland before: a sky raft. It was shaped like a boat, but it was designed to be as light as air. John, using his clever mind, took charge of the sails. He carefully stitched together giant leaf panels, creating wings designed to catch a celestial wind. Meanwhile, Michael and Cubby were tasked with the steering mechanism. They tested the makeshift wheel with youthful enthusiasm, crashing it into a nearby tree not once, but twice, sending splinters flying. Through her exhaustion, Wendy couldn't help but smile. "It doesn't have to be perfect," she called out to them, her voice carrying over the sounds of their construction. "It just has to believe." As the first rays of sunrise painted the dark sky with hues of pink and orange, the raft began to shimmer faintly. Tinker Bell, looking tired but determined, flew along the sails, sprinkling the very last of her precious pixie dust along the seams. "Once we hit the Starstream," she warned, her voice serious, "there's no turning back." Wendy looked from the finished raft up to the vast, empty sky where her friend was captive. "We don't plan to," she said, her voice filled with conviction. Together, they pushed the incredible creation to the very edge of the highest cliffs, the wind roaring in a powerful updraft beneath them. The moment was here. "Ready?" Wendy asked, her gaze sweeping over the brave faces of the Lost Boys. A chorus of shouts answered her. "Ready." Wendy took a deep breath, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. "Then let's wake the stars." With a final mighty shove, the raft launched off the cliff's edge. For one terrifying, heart-stopping second, it dropped like a stone. Wendy's stomach lurched. But then the giant leaf sails caught the light of the rising sun, glowing a brilliant gold, and the sky raft soared upward, climbing into the endless violet sky. They rose higher and higher, leaving the familiar shores of Neverland far below. The air grew thin and began to shimmer with streaks of silver light. Tinker Bell darted ahead, her wings beating excitedly. She pointed a tiny glowing finger. "There," she chimed, "the Starstream." It was more beautiful than any of them could have imagined. It looked like a river made of pure wind, twisting and turning through the upper atmosphere. Carried on its current were shimmering fragments of dreams, glowing toys, echoes of laughter. Lost wishes shaped like butterflies, all flowing in a gentle, powerful torrent upward into the vastness of space. As their raft entered the celestial river, the sails blazed with captured starlight, and for the first time in days, the sky around them began to shine again. Michael, his eyes wide with wonder, reached out his small hand and caught a floating marble of pure light that drifted by. It pulsed warmly in his palm. "It's someone's dream," Wendy said softly, a sense of awe in her voice. "Someone down there still believes in us, but their moment of wonder was shattered in an instant." A massive shadow fell over them, blotting out the newfound light. Looming above, gliding through the dark like a ghostly predator, was Hook's ship, the Jolly Roger. Its sails weren't canvas anymore. They were woven from stolen starlight, burning with a cold blue fire. Wendy's eyes widened in recognition. "We found him," she whispered. Tinker Bell let out a frightened gasp. "No, he found us." A deafening roar erupted from the pirate ship. Cannons fired, but instead of cannonballs, they launched terrifying orbs of pure shadow. These orbs didn't explode. They imploded, sucking in all the light around them, creating pockets of absolute nothingness. The sky raft swerved violently as one of the shadow orbs detonated nearby, scattering the beautiful, glowing dreams into disarray. John fought with the steering wheel, his knuckles white. "If we lose the wind current, we'll fall," he yelled over the chaos. Wendy gritted her teeth, her gaze fixed on the enemy ship. "Then we don't miss," she declared. What followed was a breathtaking battle across the sky. The little raft and the monstrous Jolly Roger danced and weaved through the starstream in a desperate, high-stakes chase. Tinker Bell became a living missile, darting ahead, leaving brilliant trails of pixie dust that momentarily blinded the pirates' aim. The Lost Boys, armed with slingshots, fired glowing seeds that erupted in bursts of gold against the dark ship's hull. Michael, standing bravely at the edge of the raft, clutched his teddy bear as if it were a cannonball and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Take that, you pirates!" Amidst the chaos, Wendy's eyes found him. There, on the deck of the Jolly Roger, stood Captain Hook, looking as elegant and cruel as ever. In his hand, he held a glowing crystal cage. And inside it, slumped and motionless, was Peter Pan. His light, usually so bright, was fading into a weak flicker. "Peter!" Wendy screamed, her voice lost in the wind. Hook heard her. He turned, a triumphant sneer on his face, and raised his gleaming hook toward her. "Too late, little storyteller," he taunted, his voice echoing across the void. "The sky is mine now." Suddenly, the starstream itself seemed to shudder. The river of dreams pulsed erratically, reacting to Peter's weakening light. Wendy felt the wind falter beneath them, the raft dipping dangerously. Tinker Bell's voice, filled with panic, echoed in her mind. His belief, "It's dying." Without a second thought, Wendy scrambled up the raft's main mast, the wind tearing at her hair and clothes. Holding on for dear life, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted to the heavens, her voice filled with every ounce of faith she possessed. "Peter Pan, you're not just the boy who never grows up. You're the one who teaches us to believe." Her words, infused with pure, unwavering belief, didn't just carry on the wind. They became part of it. The starstream answered her call, blazing brighter than ever before. The raft lifted sharply, its sails pouring brilliant light back into the sky. Inside the cage on Hook's ship, Peter's eyes flickered open. They were faint, but they were alive. "Wendy?" he whispered. Hook cursed, his face contorted in rage. He gripped a strange, dark compass on his belt. "No, stay asleep." He twisted it violently, and dark lightning began to crackle across the hull of the Jolly Roger. But it was too late. The starstream, now fully awakened, had come to their aid. Dozens, then hundreds of shooting stars erupted from its current, striking Hook's ship like a meteor shower. The Jolly Roger rocked violently under the assault, and Hook stumbled, losing his grip. Peter's cage shattered into 1,000 pieces of light. For a moment, he fell through the air, glowing like a comet. But Wendy was already moving. She dove from the mast as the raft swooped beneath them, catching his hand in a desperate last-second grasp. The moment their hands touched, Peter's light exploded outward, flooding the entire sky with a tidal wave of pure golden energy. One by one, the stars above them reignited, a billion tiny flames burning brightly against the dark velvet of the night. Hook's ship, battered and broken, spiraled downward, its stolen light extinguished, vanishing into the deep clouds below. The sky was at peace again. The little raft floated gently among the newly rekindled stars, shimmering in their soft glow. Wendy looked at Peter, who was still glowing faintly but was smiling his old, familiar, mischievous smile. "You scared me," she said, her voice thick with relief. Peter grinned weakly, his light growing stronger by the second. "Guess I just needed a little faith," he replied. Tinker Bell, bright and vibrant once more, zipped over to rest on his shoulder. On the raft, the Lost Boys cheered, their shouts of victory echoing in the quiet of space as they laughed and hugged each other. Looking up, they saw that Neverland stars were twinkling back into their rightful places, forming familiar constellations that looked like flying children, graceful fairies and grand pirate ships sailing an ocean of night. John pushed his glasses up his nose, looking around in amazement. "So, we just saved the universe, right?" Wendy laughed, a happy, clear sound that felt like morning. "Let's call it a good start." But far below, hidden in the shadow of the deepest cloud, the Jolly Roger limped away. Its sails were tattered, its hull was scarred, but it was not destroyed. On its deck, Captain Hook stood watching the stars return, his eyes burning with a cold, renewed determination. "Let them have their light," he whispered to the darkness. "The night has only begun. Thanks so much for joining us on this incredible voyage through the stars. If you love this adventure, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss what happens next. We can't wait to see you for the next episode.